If you look out over the sun-baked rooftops of Hiva, you aren't looking at a static museum. You are looking at a living, breathing organism born on the Silk Road, defined by two absolute extremes of civilization. We start our walk on the western edge of the city, at the Kuna Arc. Surrounded by these massive brick walls, the atmosphere here is dominated by the raw military defense of the ancient fortresses. We are tracing a straight line through the city's geography, moving from this western fortress, through the royal center, all the way to the east gate. This path exposes the city's sharpest edges, forcing a direct transition from absolute royal isolation into the chaos of the public square. That walk brings us to the geographic center of the city and the peak of 19th century royal wealth, the Tash Kowli, or Stone Palace. The Khans who built this in the 1830s engineered a specific architectural psychology. The entire complex is built to ensure the ruler is highly visible to his subjects, yet physically impossible to reach. As you cross the threshold of these deeply fortified outer walls, the dust and noise of the street drop away entirely. The silence is immediate. The exterior acts as a fortress of silence. It is designed to intimidate anyone on the outside and protect the extreme exclusivity on the inside. Stepping into the harem, you're locked into highly disciplined patterns of blue tile. Against this cold ceramic, deep carved wooden pillars provide crucial visual rhythm. Notice how the dense vertical carving naturally pulls your eye upward to the ceiling's sheer scale. This isometric blueprint shows exactly how the physical architecture maps out the family hierarchy. On the left is the massive primary vaulted space, the Iwan, built exclusively for the Khan. To its right, you see the four noticeably smaller Iwans, strictly assigned to his four legal wives. The entire layout functions as a walkable, three-dimensional diagram of domestic and political control. Leaving the private quarters, the palace opens into two distinct public-facing courtyards, each engineered for a specific psychological purpose. The first is the Ars Kali, the Court of Justice. The atmosphere here is heavy and oppressive, built to apply maximum pressure during public trials. Looking at this architectural cross-section, you can see the trick they used. The Khan sits on an elevated platform against an extremely high wall, forcing any subject to look sharply upward across a massive, highly visible power distance. Next door is the Ishra Kali, used for banquets and hosting foreign diplomats. It keeps the imposing high walls, but the spacing is noticeably wider, creating a more open, ceremonial feel to impress visiting guests. Whether handing down a legal ruling or offering a feast, the architecture ensures his authority feels cold, mathematically ordered, and completely unyielding. Yet, right in the center of all this obsessive geometric perfection, there is a bizarre anomaly. The architects intentionally left the center of these courtyards entirely blank, so the Khan could pitch a traditional circular yurt right on the stone. This soft fabric structure completely shatters the icy perfection of the surrounding tilework. At the height of their settled power, the Khans maintained these platforms, keeping the traditional nomadic yurt at the center of their stone courtyards. When we finally exit the palace complex, it takes only a few steps to cross the threshold of the Palvan Darvoza, the imposing brick archway of the East Gate. The physical sensory shock hits you instantly. The freezing silence of the royal court shatters, immediately replaced by the noisy, fluid, sun-drenched warmth of the marketplace. Historically, this exact spot carried immense weight. In the 19th century, this was a dense hub for massive trade caravans and slave auctions. Today, that energy has evolved into a vibrant artery packed with local artisans and commerce. A single brick wall separates the rigid, paranoid exclusivity of the crown from the inclusive, chaotic reality of everyday life on the Silk Road. And the grand aesthetic of the Khan isn't stay trapped behind those palace walls. As this side-by-side comparison shows, the strict geometric tilework of the royal court spilled out into the street, appearing in the painted ceramics of everyday teapots and bowls. The volume and warmth of the royal yurt is echoed everywhere in the market, appearing in these wildly exaggerated fluffy wool chigurma hats. Even the icy blue mathematical patterns of the harem are softened here, hand-woven into vibrant Suzani and ikat textiles. The contrast between the palace's cold blue breath and the market's smoky warmth is something you can touch, buy, and carry home in your hands.